Hi, I'm Jacqueline Rinksmeyer, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us today to watch our annual Candidates Forum. We do this event in partnership with Medina TV, and I'm here today with General Manager Jared Fry.
Thank you, Jacqueline. You will notice today, as Jacqueline and I do not have our mask on, and as I interview these candidates, I will not be wearing a mask, nor will the candidates. We are following all the Department of Health guidelines in regards to spatial distancing, and with being on air and doing a broadcast, masks are not required.
All candidates in local contested races were invited to participate in these interviews. This forum is designed to inform the voting public of their choices in the upcoming election.
The views and opinions stated by the candidates during the course of these interviews are not necessarily those of Medina TV and the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for exercising your right to vote in the upcoming election. Enjoy the Candidates Forum.
Joining me now in studio is Kevin Barnet, the candidate for the Ohio House of Representatives District, the 70th District.
Correct.
Thank you for joining us here, Kevin.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, well, first, why don't you start out and just let the voters tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Kevin Barnet, obviously. I'm originally from New York, moved to Ohio 14 years ago. Kind of got involved in politics right around 2016. The election is what really made me feel like I had to do more. And, so that's, pretty much. I worked for a utility in New York for 20 years. 15 years I was in the union, and then 5 years I was in management. We moved out to Ohio we owned a bed and breakfast. So we ran that. And then for the last 7 years or so, I've been working at Allstate Insurance.
Okay. And for those that may not know, why don't you describe the role of a state representative?
Well, a state representative is one of the most intimate, I think, with the people, because we have the smallest constituency. And so it's somebody you should know who represents you. And you or myself should be out in the community, talking to people, getting to understand what they're looking for, what they want. And, so I think as a representative, it's very key to be in district as much as you can, and having office hours so that people can come and sit down and talk with you, just like we're talking now. And sometimes those conversations are going to be difficult and they're going to be uncomfortable, but most of the time, it should be, a give and take. And I think that's one of the things that is going to be one of my priorities, is making sure that people can come and talk to me. And, if I have to sit in a library for 2 hours and nobody shows up on a Saturday, that's fine. That's my job. But I'm going to make myself available to do that.
And how do you think, in light of all the COVID-19 crisis that we've had, if elected, what would be ways that you would help with that, being able to communicate with your constituents? Yeah,
it's been difficult, even just campaigning. It's a whole new world out there. We joke about Zoom and, just being on Zoom, but it is a way to communicate with people. And I think if, this is a nice time of the year, there's probably 6 months of the year that you're going to have to figure out something to do. And even here, we're inside, we're talking to each other, we're socially distanced. We can do things like that, so you can still do those things. You have to be careful, but I think you can still, meet face to face, and there will be times when, if there's a bigger group, you may have to do Zoom, or you may have to do something along those lines. But, in general, I think that's how you're going to have to, things are just going to be different, and we're just going to have to adapt to that.
So if elected for this position, what do you think is the biggest problem you'll face upon taking office?
Well, COVID-19, obviously, has really hurt small businesses, hurt workers, and it's hurt the state budget. So going into the state, we're working with trying to alleviate some of that pressure for small businesses and for workers, but at the same time, you only have a certain amount of money coming in, and you have to balance that budget. So I think one of the key things is going to be, getting together and really talking with our counterparts in the federal government, and because they can take on debt. So trying to get them to help us do that, so then we can do the things that we would like to do. But right now, I think our biggest concern and our biggest hurdle is going to be the COVID-19 and just getting past that.
Mm-hmm. Now you brought up 2 points in that in your answer there that I'm going to follow up on. Sure. One being from the business side. In light of everything going on with COVID, you've got businesses, some that are just barely trying to hang on, right. Some that may be just trying to get started, as well as the employees in both situations.
Right.
What would you like to see or do upon election to assist those businesses? Again,
we're going to have to reach out, I think, to the federal government to help us with that. But yeah, we need to pass legislation, be leaders. I think one of the things we need to do is take the science seriously. And I think we have to do better in a fast test for results, and then being able to contact trace, because until we have a safe vaccine, that's our only options right now. And myself, I have diabetes, so if I get it, it could kill me. So it's something that I have to be very careful at. And me and my wife will go out to dinner, but we've been making sure that we stay and only go to places that have outside seating. But come the winter, we'll be taking out and bringing it home again, and that hurts business. So until we can feel confident that we can do these things, that's, I think, one of the things we're going to have to really stress and really do is, put money into that, so that people build confidence, so they can go out there and feel confident when they're, in a restaurant thing. My daughter's getting married next October, and we're worried that, are we going to be able to do it? Can we have a reception? So it's one of those things that it's you worry about. So I think if we can put the money into that, I think it'll give confidence to people until we get to the point where we have a vaccine.
Well, congratulations on that, and best of luck for her
Thank you.
Now, the second part of that, you're talking about working with other government, whether it's federal or even here on the state with the governor or the Senate and the House. How do you feel the working relationship is in the state of Ohio between the governor, the Senate, and the House?
Well, it's all one-sided right now, so I think it goes pretty smoothly. But the House seems to be, to me, a lot more rogue than the Senate, and then I think our governor is fairly conservative. So we have to, and when I say the House is more rogue, it's almost like, they're even further to one side than, where the Senate is still one-sided, but more towards the middle. We have to, start bringing the House back to, putting people first and putting, small businesses first, and, doing those type of things, as opposed to, doing things with big corporations, and I know we need those things. And matter of fact, one of the things I would love to see our state do is bring money into District 70 and into Ohio in a whole. Is I feel there's a emerging industry that is virtually untapped, and that is green energy. And we have to move that way, for the environment. And we haven't moved in that direction. But, you think of finance, you think of New York, you think of computers, you think of Silicon Valley. Why not, when you think of green energy, you think of Ohio? Why don't we be that state that is the first to produce the energy, and more so manufacture the turbines and the wind turbines and the solar panels. We have that here. That's what we do, is make things. So that's something that I strongly would like to push and try to work across the aisle, and see if we can get that moving.
And that led me perfectly into the next question. I was going to ask you, if elected, what would be 3 of your top priorities? I think you just answered one of those them. 3. Right, so what would be 2 other ones that you would like?
2 other ones would be education. I'm very strong with public education. Ohio's been, I think it's almost 50 years with an unconstitutional way to fund our schools. And so it's well past time that we do something about that. And then I guess the last is I'm very strong with unions. I really believe that unions are the backbone of the middle class. And we've lost that. We've lost, that, being able to sit down and bargain for our own rights and our own, benefits. So those are the things that I would like to keep strong, and those are the things I'm going to focus on.
Now, there's been a lot, we talked about COVID-19, and I'll touch on some of the other issues later. There's been a lot of things that have gone to the front burner here as far as topics. But one of the things that was very on the front lines was the opioid crisis.
Sure.
Do you still feel that that's an issue, or how do you feel about that?
I think it's moved. Opioid is now become heroin, and it's moved from where it was to, but it's still out there, and even maybe more so because of COVID and people feeling trapped and stuff. So, and looking for a release and looking for an escape. So yeah, it's still there. It's still a priority. And it's something that I heard. What was it? I think it was Judge. I don't know which one. He was on the Supreme Court, and he had an idea, and I thought it was a very interesting idea to explore, and that was to legalize marijuana and for recreational use, regulate it, tax it, and turn that money from the state over to helping with the opioid or the drug crisis and also mental health and stuff, and use that money that turn it into what is considered bad now, turn it into something good, turn it into something that we could do that would help people in the long run. So I think it's an interesting thing that I would like to explore that a little bit.
Now, another thing that's kind of been on the front lines here is social injustice in regards to LGBTQ, and then also one of the big items is racial injustice.
Right.
What do you see, if elected, how you would attack both those issues?
I think we have to pass the Ohio Fairness Act. I know the Supreme Court has done that, and so it's people are protected now, but it should be part of our own Constitution. So I think it's something that we need to do. And then there are other little issues that have popped up throughout the last session. There was a bill that, for transgenders sports, and wanting to keep transgender players from playing. And right now the high schools follow the same rules that the Olympics do. And I think if we do that, if an athlete can, on the world stage, compete, then they should be able to compete on the high school stage as well. So those are 2 issues that I know have popped up on the LGBTQ side. On the Black Lives Matter and social justice in that sense, it seems like they want to do 2 things. You're either pro-police or pro-Black Lives Matter. And that's not true. You could be both. Yeah, you're against police brutality. You're against, using lethal force first. and you can also be against burning down cities, but there is, the crux of that, though, is that there's something going wrong there. There's something wrong, and we have to be better at looking at what that is, and saying and admitting it, and saying, hey, listen, there has been an issue here, and we need to address this issue, And I think if we can do that, if we can, half the battle is admitting we have a problem, admit that we have a problem, and then once you do that, you can open up conversations, and then you don't have cities burning down. You have open conversation. You have cities burning down when people feel they're being left out of the process. So I think you have to bring those people into the process.
Okay. And switching gears a little bit here, what do you feel in terms of any experience, skill set, leadership, qualities that you have that may differentiate you from your opponent?
Well, for all of my working career, from starting when I first started at the utility, and I worked in the call center, to I did customer communications when I was in management. I owned my own business. I'm working in insurance now. Everything was customer service driven. And this job is a customer service job. It's listening to people, trying to help solve problems. That's something I've done throughout my whole career. And I enjoy it. Sometimes it's hard. People want to, need to blow off some steam, and you have to let them. But if you can take that and then turn it around and try to explain it, and I found that sometimes your hands are tied. You can't do anything about it. But if you understand what the person's saying and acknowledge that, and then say, well, unfortunately, this is the company's policy. My hands are tied here. I understand. I want to do this. People understand that. They will come along. They may not like it, but at least they have an understanding of it. And and this job is a lot like that. It's listening to people. It's trying to help people if they have issues, or see what the issues, or try to think of what the issues might be in the future, and try to prevent them moving forward. So I think my whole career has been going in this direction. So I feel like that's what separates me.
Great. And we're speaking with Kevin Barnet, the candidate for Ohio House of Representatives, the 70th District. And Kevin, I appreciate you answering all of my questions, and I want to give you the opportunity to turn the mic over to you, that you can talk directly to the voters and speak with them directly.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you very much. I hope what I said here makes sense to you, and you've listened, and you really want a change. And I hope that starting October 6th, with early voting, that you get out there. Be careful. I would strongly stress going to the polls either early or voting by mail, because we don't know what's going to happen on Election Day. That could be something where there's going to be long lines, and you don't want to expose yourself for that long if you don't have to. So we have so many options there. So please go out there, vote, and I hope when you do, you vote for Kevin Barnet for state representative.
Thank you. It's again Kevin Barnet, the candidate for Ohio House of Representatives, the 70th District. I usually close. I always love to shake someone's hand and wish them the best of luck,
yes.
But I think we'll have to do either a virtual elbow and I wish you the best of luck this November.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, and I do appreciate having this opportunity. Because of where we are, we don't get to speak to a lot of people in one sitting, so this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking advantage of it and being part of the process.
All right, thank you.